Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. So I will start with what is actually the database and how we can connect to the Java, and how we can create or execute the SQL statements through the JDBC. Okay, these are the topics are to be covered under the JDBC. First, we'll see what is mean by actually the JDBC, and why it is required to connect with the Java and databases, and how it will be work, and what is the importance of a JDBC. Then we'll see the types of drivers, the different types of drivers which are used within the JDBC to connect to the database, and next the required API for the JDBC, and next we will see the how to connect to the databases and how to execute the queries and how to retrieve the results, and some of our topics which are related to the statements and connection pooling and something. Okay, so finally we'll be done with the some assignment, that is once after completing of the total JDBC topics, then we'll go for the assignment. Okay, first we'll start with the JDBC overview. So here this JDBC is nothing but the full form can be called as Java Database Connectivity. So actually before the Java we have the different other languages like C, C++ and other languages. So there we will be use the our open database connectivity API. So where we have the whatever the databases like MyAccess or SQL or Oracle, for those databases we can connect with the help of our language and using a ODBC tools and ODBC API. But when compared to the other languages to the Java, Java is an object oriented language, so that we cannot use the our ODBC API directly to with the Java, because ODBC is especially written with the C language, so that we require the special API which can work with the objects. So for that, especially the initially whenever the Java is introduced, okay, then this JDBC API is introduced to connect to the our object based data to the our standard databases, and further it is enhanced to connect with the remote databases, and enhanced to connect with the cloud based databases, and also used to connect with the different types of social media databases. So now the JDBC not only to the relational databases, we can connect with the any type of a databases. Okay, any format of a data or any type of a data or any particular place of a data can be connected with the help of a JDBC. Okay. So JDBC API is especially this API is like functions and classes which are required to connect to the Java and databases. So for that we require some classes like connection classes, and we require the classes for executing of queries, and we require the classes to store the data which is retrieved from the database into our object, and we require some classes which are required for to execute the different types of statements. Okay, generally we have different types of SQL statements like data definition language statements, data manipulation language statements, and data transaction related statements. So and these related to these different types of statements will be have the different types of API for our Java databases. Okay. And actually we have two packages for this JDBC. One package is Java SQL java.sql package, okay, which is actually the which is introduced as a part of a core Java SDK, so which is called as Java 2 SDK standard edition. And Java X SQL is especially introduced in the J2EE versions, that is within the advanced Java it is introduced. So now we can use either java.sql or javax.sql. Javax.sql is especially deals with the remote databases. Okay, say for example you want to connect with the remote systems or cloud based databases or remote databases, then we can use the SQL, javax.sql. So if it is within the LAN network related databases, then we can use the java.sql. And in the java.x.sql, we also have the different other classes which are required for the remote database connections. Okay, those are the data sources. That is, without having a databases, here in the java.x.sql, we'll be connect with the Java data sources. And JNDI connections. Okay, JNDI is especially related to the whenever we want to connect with the any native database interfaces. Okay, like say for example, if you want to connect to any object, okay, like in a remote system, I have a service. Okay, I want to connect to that web service, and I want to access the data or result which is retrieved from the web service. Then we can use the JNDI, and we can also use the connection pooling objects within the java.x.sql. So connection pooling is especially like whenever your database is accessed by the multiple clients, multiple users, okay, then for each user it creates a one thread which is called as a connection pool. So whenever the multiple connection has to be managed or multiple connections related transactions has to be managed, then it uses the connection pooling. Okay. And row sets is especially like whenever you are executing a select statement, you'll be get some data from your table. Okay, that data you can store into the row set, and within the Java we can retrieve that data and we can see the data. Okay. Similarly, we also have distributed transactions. Okay, like same transaction can be work with the multiple users, then we can see the distributed transactions. Okay. This is actually the basic architecture of the JDBC. That is, this architecture gives us how can we connect with our Java application to our database. So our Java application is our manual source code which is created with the Java, and then using a JDBC API we can connect to the first JDBC driver manager. Okay, here in the JDBC we have the different layers here. So that is, one layer is our application, the next layer is JDBC driver. Okay, here the driver is nothing but you can be think of like say for example I want to connect with the one external device. Say for example I want to connect with a printer. So what we will do is we will take a drivers of the printer and we will install into our system. Then whenever we want to give the printout through the driver softwares, our document will be sent to the printer and get printed. That is, there is a purpose of a driver is to convert our request into the destination peripheral. Okay, that is whenever we are giving our data, okay, that will be converted into the related to the destination machine, and it will be given to the destination machine. Okay, so in the similar way, here our data Java JDBC driver manager is especially for to convert our request. That is, our request is in the object form. Okay, that request will be converted into the related database. Say for example you are connecting to the MySQL, then your request will be converted to the MySQL request. Okay, if you are connecting to the Oracle, it will be converted to the Oracle request in the form of Oracle request. If it is a Sybase or if it is a Firebase, okay, based on the destination database, okay, it will be converted into the related format of a request. So for that, it is actually the driver manager is required, and within this driver manager class we will be mentioned that for which database you want to connect, and the URL of the database, that is where it is actually located, the system IP address, port number, and the location of a database, the database name, username, password. Okay, those all we will give into the JDBC driver. Okay, so then from this JDBC driver, okay, it will be connects to the JDBC ODBC bridge. Okay, this is especially the ODBC bridge is required for especially to the ODBC driver to connect to the ODBC driver. This ODBC driver is especially to connect to the native databases. Native databases is like Excel, text files, and my access. And if you want to connect to the any old databases like Fox Pro, or if you are connecting to the any other old databases like COBOL, okay, for all that we can use the JDBC ODBC bridge. Okay, so within your Windows operating system itself we will be have the JDBC the ODBC drivers. So those are pre-built installed in your system. With the Windows operating system itself we will get the ODBC drivers, so that our JDBC connects to that ODBC driver based on your specified database link, and it connects to that related database and it drives the data or sends the data. This is especially for our native databases. Okay, another one is vendor specific JDBC driver. This is especially for any other type of databases like MySQL, Oracle, or Sybase or Firebase, whatever it is. So for this we need to have the driver of that specific vendor. Okay, for connecting to the Oracle we should have the Oracle vendor provided driver. To connect to the MySQL we require the MySQL provided driver, and these drivers we need to be installed into our system, then only we can connect to that particular database through the driver. Okay, so whatever the database connection we want to use, so related to that within the online will be get the related driver software, and that driver software we need to install into our system, or we will have the jar files, Java archive files we will get for related to the driver, and those files we need to download and we need to load them into our lib folder of the bin. Within the JDK we will have the bin folder, and within the bin folder we will have the library folder. In that we need to store our these drivers related jar files. Okay, then we can connect to our required databases. Okay, so this is actually the structure, but apart from this structure we have the types of drivers also. Okay, so types of drivers is especially for so what type of database we want to connect and for what purpose we are going to connect to the database. Related to that we have the 4 types of drivers. Okay, type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. Okay, so and whenever we are working with the JDBC we need to know that which type of a driver we are using in our code, and what is the use of that particular type of a driver. Okay, first one we'll see the type 1 driver. Type 1 driver is especially for our JDBC ODBC connections. Okay, at present maximum of the applications are not using this JDBC ODBC. It's around 10 years back we have used the JDBC ODBC. There is only the connection Java database connection is this was only available for us. Okay, but at present maximum of applications are not using this JDBC ODBC connections. This is called as a type 1 driver. Okay, so Java application has the related driver software, and this connects to the ODBC API. This will be available in our operating system itself, so we need not to get installed or anything. Okay, already we have within our Windows operating systems, and through that we can connect to our native databases, and through that API it can connect to our required database. Okay, so it has a main disadvantages, very limited usage of a databases will have. So whatever the databases which are supported by the ODBC, only those databases we can connect, but we cannot have a more scope to connect with the advanced databases. Okay, the ODBC is called as the full form as the Open Database Connectivity, and this is introduced in 1992, and most of our databases are our old native databases. Okay, but we need not to know the commands of the ODBC, and others we are not required. So only we'll create the data source name, and we'll specify the for which database you want to connect, and what is a synonym for the database. Those will create, and that we can use within our JDBC. Next one is the type 2 drivers. So here we will use the type 2 driver is especially like whenever you want to connect to the native databases but without using the ODBC, then we can use the our type 2 drivers. Okay, this is also very rare, especially like say for example, my Java program wants to connect with a C program and wants to get the result of a C program into my Java program. For that also we can use this type 2 drivers. That is, whatever the result which is produced by the C program, okay, that we can use it as a data set, and we can connect from the Java to the related program, and we can execute that program and get the data from that particular program. So for that type of things, and for text files, and for any type of old text based information, we can use the type 2 drivers. And next one is the type 3 drivers. So these type 3 drivers are like based on the component based applications. Okay, and here will be use the client application with the driver API. We will connect to the our middleware server, that is we'll call it as the net protocol. Okay, that is through the remote for the remote databases we can use the one of the driver is the this type 3 driver. Okay, and we can connect to the through the particular database server, we can connect to the related database. Okay, but this is also very less used. And another most importantly used driver is the type 4 driver. This will use mostly for our at present applications. Okay, because it is flexible for any type of a databases, even it is maybe a remote database, or maybe a local database, or maybe a cloud based database. Okay, so whatever the type of a database, we can connect with the our type 4 driver. Okay, and this is also works with the based on the vendor specific URLs also. Okay, so the client application, Java application, connects to the related using a related protocol of the database. It connects to the database and access the data. But only the thing is, this type 4 driver cannot able to use for the our native databases, okay, which are file based, actually, like text files, or any Excel files, or any access MS Access data, or any COBOL data, or any Fortran data and others. Okay, for those we cannot use this type 4 driver. Only the databases which supports with the protocol based, for that we can use the type 4 driver, and it is also called as a thin driver. Okay, so now we'll see how to connect to the database. So is there any doubts up to this drivers, type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 drivers?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now we are moving to the connecting to database. Okay, so these are the different steps involved in the connecting to the database through our JDBC. So the classes which are required for this connecting to the databases is, first class is required is a driver manager class, and second class required is a driver class, another one is the connection class, another one is the statement class, metadata class, and result set. So within this, the main important classes is driver manager, connection, and statement. So metadata and result set is based on our requirement, we can use these two classes. Why? Because especially metadata is information related to the table or columns. Okay, for those we can use the metadata class. Result set is especially for select statements. If your statement is a select statement, then you need to use the result set. If your statement is other than the select statement, that is update or insert or delete or any create, drop databases or alter databases or any other statements other than select, for all that we need to use only statement. Just we will execute that statement. We need not to use the result set. Okay. So first the driver manager object will be created, and that object creates the connection class object. Okay. So then connection class object, that is using this connection class object we can create the statement class object. Okay. And using the statement class object, that is whenever you execute the statement, then it creates the result set object. Okay. So meanwhile it connects to the driver, that is here this class we didn't use the directly. In the backend it will be uses the driver class and it connects to the database. Okay. So here in the driver manager class we will mention that for which type of a database you want to connect. That is, you want to connect to the MySQL, we need to specify the MySQL driver. If you want to connect to the Oracle, mention the Oracle driver. If it is a Firebase, you need to mention the Firebase driver, or DB2 driver. Okay. So once the driver is mentioned and driver manager object is created, okay, then using that object we can create the connection. In the connection we need to mention that the URL of the database, so which consists of protocol of the database and type of a database, port number of the database, system IP address, then the database name. Then it also has two more parameters, that is a username and password. So with all these fields, that is total 3 fields. First field is the URL, second field is the username, third field is the password. So using these 3 parameters we can create the connection object. So next is we need to, once the connection object is created and connection is established to that particular database, then we can create the statement object. That is, here the meaning is, once you are established the driver manager, that is nothing but you are specifying to the Java that I want to connect to this particular type of a database. Then you are specifying the complete details of the database and username and password. So then you are specifying, like you are giving a connection details to your Java, so that it uses the driver manager, then it go to that particular database. So once it entered into the database, then the next step is to execute the statement. So that is which type of a statement you want to execute and what is that statement, that you need to mention in the statement object. So if you want to execute the select statement, you can mention the select statement. If you want to execute the update or delete or any other alter or any other, you can specify this. That is, you need not to enter into the any MySQL or Oracle. Using this Java application, you can do all the SQL statements from your Java program itself. Okay. So while executing the statement, it goes through the driver and connects to the database. So for that connection, it already establishes the connection with the connection object, so that through that connection it goes to the database and converts our Java statement in the form of a database understandable statement and executes that statement in the database, gets the data from the database and returns that data to the our Java program. If that data is a record based, that is, if it is a table based information, then it creates a result set. If it is only the status, like whenever you execute the insert or update, it gives only status, whether it is executed or not and how many rows are affected. Okay, if it is that is only the information, you will get only the number of rows executed. Okay, you didn't get any data of updation. Okay, So these are the main classes for connecting to the database, and this is the flow of the connecting to the database. Next, the basic steps is while writing a program, what are the steps we need to be follow. First one is we need to import all the required packages. Sorry, it is spell mistake, not classes, it's the packages. We need to import all the necessary packages. Then load the JDBC driver. Here the related JDBC driver of the database. Okay, this loading of a JDBC driver is nothing but the JDBC driver is a class. So whenever you are loading a driver is nothing but you are loading that particular class file into your class file. That is whenever it makes an executable file, it requires all the supported classes, so that this JDBC driver will be available at somewhere else in your system. From that it loads your class, the driver class, into your class file. Okay. Next is identify the required data source, that is a connection. Then establish the connection. Then create the statement object. Then execute the query, the required query with the statement object. Then retrieve the information, that is if it is a query statement, you will get the data, and which you will be stored into the result set. Then you will be populate the data from the result set, and you can see the data in your required format. And then finally you will be close the result set object, statement object, connection object. That is, first we need to close the result set, then we can close the statement, then we can close the connection object. Okay, this is related to the explanation of the driver manager class. The main functionalities of a driver manager class is to specify the required database, and it also provides us the how can we connect to the our required database. Based on the driver manager only we can know that which driver is required and which connection path is required to connect to the our database. Okay. And is a static class, so we can call the methods with the directly the class name dot the method name. For loading of this driver manager class, will be use a class is a name class dot for name method. Okay, using within this it takes a one parameter, that is a driver manager related string. Okay, so this we will use as a first statement of our JDBC code. So initially we need to load our driver manager class, then we can go for the remaining all the work. So that first we will use the class dot for name method, and within that we'll give the required driver manager class. Okay. Some example of like this. So here the class dot for name, within the brackets we are specifying this driver manager class com dot cloudscape dot core dot JDBC driver. This is unknown data source. Okay, it is not no need to worry about what type of a database it is. Just will mention the class name path like this. Okay, and then this method it returns the class not found exception, so that we need to place within the try block and catch the class not found exception. Okay, so if this driver manager class is not available, then it raises the exception as class not found. So we need to catch that exception and mention the proper message for the as a class not driver is not found or driver is not available. Okay, whatever the related message we want to display, that we can display with this. Okay. This work will be done at the runtime. That is, whenever your program is going to run, then it takes this particular class name and it searches within your class path. That is, whenever the Java application wants to find any particular class, first it searches within the class path. So class path will be created within the environment variables. That is, whenever you are installing this driver related software, driver related jar files into your system, first we need to set that particular path within the class path variable. So that you can create with the environment variables. Okay, so just we can go into our environment variables, and there we can specify the path, the complete path of this driver manager. Okay, so that whenever you are mentioning this, okay, our JVM, that is our interpreter of the Java, it directly go to this particular folder within the class path. So it searches each and every folder in the class path, and it finds further this first folder. So COM is a one folder, Cloudscape is a one folder, Core is a one folder, and JDBC driver is a class. So it finds a one by one folder and finds this particular class. Okay. If it is not found in the class path, then it raises the exception and gives the driver not found. Okay. Next is within the connection will give the URL of the database. Okay, that URL consists of the protocol of the database and sub protocols, if any, that protocols. Then we will specify the database name, and then we'll mention the username and passwords. Okay, this URL will be deferred by the database to database. Like say if you are connecting to the MySQL, we'll have the different URL, different port numbers, different protocols. And if you are connecting to the Oracle, we'll have the different protocol, different port numbers and others. So based on the your type of a database, you will be have the different types of URLs. Okay, here the example is given as this is for the especially JDBC, ODBC URL. Okay, this we will not use for the type 4 drivers. So here the example is given for the JDBC, ODBC. Okay, we'll see the another example also. So here the methods within the get connection, that is connection class has a method is a get connection method, which takes the 3 parameters. It has a 3 forms of the methods. One method is with only URL, another method is with the URL and the properties, another method is with the URL, username and password. Okay, based on the type of a database and based on the information, we can use any one of these methods. So just here check that how the process is going on. No need to worry about the what type of a driver is used here. Class.forName, first we will use this particular method and we'll mention the required driver manager class name. Then we will create a URL of the database. So whatever the URL you want to use for the required database, you can mention it. Then we will use the connection object. So here we need to create a connection class. The object equals to our driver manager class dot get connection. So this is driver manager class will directly use here, and the method is the get connection method, which returns the connection class object. So and takes a parameter is the URL, username and password optional. Okay. And this code returns the 2 types of exceptions. One is a class not found exception and another one is the SQL exception. Okay. SQL exception is especially by the connection object, and class not found exception is by the class.forName method. Okay. So if you don't want to mention the particular individual exceptions, you can mention only the base class as the exception and you can handle it. Otherwise, if you don't want to mention even that try and catch also, just mention the throws for the main method. For the main method, just mention the throws exception class, so that it will throw that exception to the some other parent class. Okay. So here the example is for the Oracle. Oracle driver is this one. Oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. At present also we are using the same driver, Oracle driver. And URL for the Oracle is the JDBC:oracle::thin. That is within the JDBC driver, we are using an Oracle driver, and within that Oracle driver is the thin driver. This is type 4 driver, so that it is called as a thin driver. At the rate your database your system name, that is your system IP address or system name, you can give colon 1521. 1521 is the common standard port for the Oracle, so 1521. And MySQL is 3306 is the port number for the MySQL. Okay. And database name, so within the Oracle, whatever the database you have created, the database name. Okay, you can give your required database name, and then the username and password. So now you can mention this URL, username and password within your get connection method. So there you can mention your URL, username and password. Okay, then we will give the method as the message as the connected connection. But before writing this program, you need to load your driver manager related classes. Okay, that will have the Oracle 11 or Oracle 111.jar file, Oracle 11.jar file or Oracle 111.jar file. Okay, that we need to load into our system. Okay, that you need to place into your either you can store in your same folder, or you can load into the bin and library folder. Okay. And we can see the limited number of connections or something like. So whenever we are completed with our code, okay, then finally we need to close the connection. That is, whatever the objects we have created, those all objects we need to close before closing of your program. So if there is a statement, connection and result set, then we'll close one by one. That is whichever it is created at the last, that will be closed first. Okay. Just I will show you how to create the connection first. Okay, then within our the same class or next class, we will see how to execute the statements also. Okay, first I will show you how to create our connection. First we will install our required driver manager. So I am taking a MySQL driver because my system has MySQL. I don't have the Oracle, so that I am using a MySQL driver. So this is the path for this MySQL connection. Okay. Just enter into the MySQL connectors. So here within the Google, just type it as download MySQL driver for Windows. So here I am taking a MySQL connectors. Okay. And within this MySQL connectors, I am selecting a JDBC connector, JDBC driver for Oracle MySQL. And then here we need to select the required OS. I require for the Windows, so that I am selecting a platform independent, and I am taking a zip file because the tar file is for Ubuntu and other operating systems, and zip file we can work with the Windows also. So we are downloading this one. Okay. Okay, this is our downloaded folder. So we require the mainly this jar file. Okay, we don't require remaining all the files. Basically we require the jar file. Okay. So copy this jar file and place it into the our JDK bin folder, or you can store into your same folder wherever you are writing a code. Okay, that also you can do. Search for your Java SDK or bin folder. Sorry. So I have this bin library folder here. Within my JDK version, I have the lib folder. So within that, you just place your connector file. Okay. Now copy this path, and we need to specify in the our environment variables. So select the environment variables. There go to the environment variables and search for the field as a class path. Edit this class path. Okay, I already have the some connector. One more 8.0 connector also I have. So even though I am creating a one more, use the new button, and you'll be edited with the field. Paste your path. Okay, and also mention your jar file name. Just go to your folder structure and edit the file name. Copy. Go to the again environment variables. Edit this variable and paste that jar file name. Okay, so now your jar file is set into this path. Okay. 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 Now you can write your required code. Specify the required folders, create your required class, okay, db test, and create your main method. Now specify your required code. Class dot for name of, here we need to mention our MySQL driver name. So MySQL driver manager name. So that we will also again search within the Google. Okay, this is the MySQL driver manager. Okay. Now go for the connection object. Connection con equals to driver manager dot get connection. Within the brackets we need to give the URL for the Java MySQL. Okay, this is the URL for that. Double 306 port number. Database I am giving it as a MyDB. Next the username is root. And password is also root. Okay. So save this file. Once I will check with the MySQL. So I have the database is with the MyDB. Okay, I already had a database with the MyDB. And our tables is, one is the EMP table I have. And some student and other tables I have. So we can use any one of these tables, and database is MyDB. Okay. So now we'll see whether it connects to the database or not.